This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, now Patricia is recording. So, thank you very much, everybody. Somebody, yeah, let's start now. So, welcome everybody. Matinda, bon midi, goedemiddag, bon dia, and good morning, according to the time zone in which you are. So, welcome everybody. Oh, yes. Yeah. So, there's some sound in the background. Maybe it comes from video. Can you turn off the microphone, please? Yeah, now it's... We're trying to solve the process on this first before starting. Okay, now seems to be done. So, welcome everybody. Matinda, bon midi, goedemiddag, bon dia, and good morning, according to your time zone. And thank you very much for your assistance. Andrea Genovese, the project coordinator of Retrace, he had an important last-minute appointment. So I am presenting and I will be moderating the questions today instead of him. Retrace is an innovative training network. It's founded by the European Commission under the Marie Sklodowska-Curie program. And Retrace consists of 14 early-stage researchers and diverse European institutions, universities, business, and NGOs all across Europe. And our focus is to help realizing the transition towards the circular economy through academic research. We also organize seminars. We mostly do it with academic guests, but we also want to build bridges outside and of the merely academic sphere and to understand the circular economy from different perspectives, especially from the policymaking sphere and how this sphere constructs through legislative action the circular economy. We previously had a webinar also with a former Commissioner of Environment of the European Commission, Janez Potočnik, to discuss the origins and the design of the circular economy from Brussels. But today we also have the opportunity to listen to the experience in two different countries and how these ideas that come from Brussels are being redesigned at the ground level for the closer institutions or the closer governments. Today we have this virtual roundtable, building the circular economy through public policy perspectives from Ireland and Catalonia. These two countries have different circular economy strategies. Ireland approved its strategy in September of 2020, and the Catalonian one comes from of 2015, is even prior to the circular economy action plan of the Commission. And now they are soon they will release their second circular economy strategy. So let me present our guests today. First, we will hear Paul McDonald. He is a principal officer of the Department of Climate, Environment and Communications, Waste Policy, Plastics, Remediation and Producer Responsibility Division of the Government of Ireland. And after Paul, we will hear Mireia Cañellas Grifoll. She is the head of Sustainable Development Unit at the Ministry of Territory and Sustainability and Directorate-General of Environmental Policy and Natural Resources for the Government of Catalonia. So again, thank you very much for your availability and for your time. And Paul, the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks, Joseph. Can everybody hear me? Okay. Good morning. Good morning from a slightly sunny Ireland, which is not always the case here, believe me. I did circulate a presentation that we used for this. I hope you all have it. But what I'll do, rather than try and bring it up on the screen, I'll go through it in quite slowly, and glad to take any questions at the end. Is that okay? I suppose as Joseph was saying, we launched our waste action plan for a circular economy here in Ireland back last September. It was based on some of the things that sort of came together at that time. We had a new government which just came in to power early last year. It was a coalition government, and there's a Green Party are one of the components of the new government. So they were obviously very keen on environmental issues and so on. But again, there's a strong background to this from the EU and also, of course, from the United Nations, the Sustainable Development Goals. The European Green Deal, launched in March 2020, was gave us a lot of the background to this. So our program for government, which was formed, as I say, early last year, had a strong environmental component of it. So we set about putting a waste action plan together early last year. Now, we decided what we would do, rather than what civil servants sometimes do, is literally just write a policy document and give it out and let the stakeholders deal with it. We decided we would take a strong emphasis on stakeholder engagement. So we brought together a lot of the main players who would be impacted by a waste policy for a circular economy. So we had the waste industry, a lot of environmental non-governmental organizations, local authorities, industry representing food production, textiles, the whole retail sector. So we had a series of meetings over the couple of months coming up to the launch of it. And some of these meetings were just general topics. Some were based on specific policies, such as the Single-Use Plastics Directive. So as I say, I come on to look at some of these now, but I suppose that's the background to it: the European Green Deal, SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, and then the political drive here in Ireland. So we set about creating an action focus plan. We wanted to, let it be seen that that Ireland wanted to have a lot of ambitions in this area. As you know, there's a lot of targets set for us by the EU, or to a lesser extent by the UN. But we wanted to try and show that we wanted to go beyond what was we were being asked from the external agencies, and try to put ourselves at the forefront of this. So the plan has more than 200 short, medium, and longer term actions, and it's going to be developed over 5 years. It's going to be implemented rather over 5 years. So we wanted to, and again, these are concepts that I've seen in the colleagues from Catalonia. We want to shift the focus away from waste disposal and treatment. We don't have a great history, or didn't have a great history here in Ireland on how we dealt with waste and so on. We had issues with EU with landfill problems going back over a number of years. So we wanted to get away from this idea from waste disposal, embrace this idea of the circular economy as opposed to the linear. The linear idea would be you extract you extract the raw materials, you make something of it, you use it, and then you dispose of it. We wanted to get away from that. So rather than just going down the disposal route, that you would have the potential repair, recycle, reuse. So just to keep raw materials and assets in circulation as long as possible. We wanted to make producers who manufacture and sell goods for profit environmentally accountable for the products that they place on the market. Now, again, you are aware probably that there's a lot of direction has come from the EU on this, in the form of the extended producer responsibility schemes. We currently have a number of these in Ireland for electrical equipment, end-of-life vehicles, cars, and so on. The Single-Use Plastics Directive puts a certain onus on us to expand that over the coming years to stuff like fishing materials and fishing gear and so on. So we're also looking to change the rules that we have for current extended producer responsibility schemes and extend them out to more products, but also to tighten up some of the regulations that we have. So we're looking to get clear and robust institutional arrangements for the waste sector, including a strengthened role for local authorities. Again, going on the basis of what we are, the approach that we took this time, rather than just the, as I say, just producing a piece of legislation and throwing it out, we were trying to engage with the various stakeholders and bring them along. So as I say, we had a series of meetings before we produced the policy document, and we will keep these interest groups going over the course. Sorry, Joseph. Yeah, if you could share my slides, if you can share them, it might be a bit easier.
Hello, thank you. This is Patrizia. We did share with the ESR of the project, but I wonder if you could share your screen. If you have it on your screen, we gave you the possibility to share your screen, so you can, move slides.
Yeah. Would it be possible for Joseph to display, because I'm on a very delicate internet cable, so if I start to try and change around systems, I'm a bit worried that it might fall over, I'm afraid.
I'm opening PowerPoint. I'll share it as soon as the program is in.
Okay, thanks.
Joseph, you're now the presenter, so you should be able to. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. If you can go down to slide number 4, Joseph, please. Great. Can everybody see? So these are some of the headline actions that we used in the waste action plan. We set a target attainment as conditions for permits. So these are waste collectors who are involved in the market. The waste collection market in Ireland has been almost entirely privatized. We don't have municipal collection, so it's almost entirely privatized. So we will make it a condition of licensing that people who want to get involved will have to set out how they will attain the various targets. So that was quite controversial. There was a lot of discussion required to get the sector involved, but I think they are now coming on board. A deposit and return scheme. Again, I know a lot of you from around Europe will already have one of these schemes, but this was something that we haven't had in Ireland, and we're looking to introduce it now as part of this plan. It's again related to the Single-Use Plastics Directive. As you may know, the Single-Use Plastics Directive has some, onerous targets for recycling of plastic bottles and so on. So what we are introducing is a deposit return scheme for plastic bottles, drinks bottles, and aluminium cans. Now, there was quite a lot of controversy and a lot of difficult discussions while we were putting the plan together, because whereas a lot of the environmental groups would be very keen on us bringing in a new deposit return scheme, and it was seen as an essential component if we are to meet the targets for 2025 and 2030 for plastic bottles. But the waste industry, who currently would collect this material as part of the municipal collection, it's quite a valuable asset for them. So they're going to be losing that asset. So we do have a lot of discussion ongoing as to how this is going to be introduced, but we are under pressure to introduce it by the end of next year. The waste action or the waste industry are now coming around, I think, to accept that this is inevitable and it's government policy. But there will be a lot of discussion required on this. Economic instruments. We are looking to bring in some additional taxes on, for example, certain parts of landfill. We are looking to introduce sort of levies on coffee cups, for example. Onto the next bullet point, we are talking about the eventual ban on disposable coffee cups. Coffee cups are seen as it's almost a scourge, the disposable coffee cups, and we're anxious to try and reduce or eliminate their use. There's millions of these coffee cups used now, and this is one of the areas where we're trying to go beyond what the EU directives say. As you know, the single-use plastic directives will ban certain products, and it asks us to be, take on education and awareness campaigns. But we are looking to dispose or to ban coffee cups and indeed cold drinks cups entirely. We will be looking at economic instruments on these. For example, we're looking at imposing a levy. If somebody goes into a shop or a garage and wants to buy a cup of coffee to take away, we're looking at the possibility of charging a levy if they want to use a disposable cup, to charge a levy on that. So the purpose of this is not to try and collect tax as such, it's to introduce behavioral change that you could, by slowly, and this is a key component of what we're trying to do. And again, the colleagues in Catalonia presentation talks about the same thing. It's to try and change hearts and minds of people, whether it be in how they segregate their waste in their own home, how they heat their home, how they go about their daily business, and as I say, one of these would be in this area of behavioral change in relation to coffee cups. So the Waste Action Plan is a precursor to a whole of government circular economy strategy. We will be launching a circular economy strategy later on this month. It won't have the number of headline action points and targets that the Waste Action Plan has. Again, it's trying to raise awareness on what a circular economy means. I'm not sure how throughout your own countries, how familiar people are with the concepts of a circular economy, but we have found here that there's a lot of an education process to be gone through. So we will be coming up with a whole of government circular economy strategy by the end of this month. So again, that's some of the points: the deposit and return scheme, the economic strategy, and new rules for EPR schemes to incentivize good practice in waste recycling, and driving better product design. This whole question of design is essential if the circular economy is to move. You'll be familiar that the people are not have gone away from the idea of repairing products. They often, when they reach a certain point, will throw them out. So if we can instill a better design further back along the supply chain, it can help. Can we move on to the next slide, please, Joseph? So again, just to summarize what we're looking to do for household and businesses, we're looking to set recycling targets for waste collectors. This idea, as I said, the domestic waste market in Ireland is almost entirely privatized, and there is no standardization across the country. Depending on where you live, you may have different colored bins for certain products, be the dry recyclables, compostable, or just what's considered ordinary household waste. So we're going to try and standardize the colors of the bins. And again, it may sound a straightforward step, but it's one that we're coming up against a lot of resistance from the waste collectors. Again, an education and awareness campaign to improve waste segregation. It's going to be essential. On food waste, looking to halve food waste by 2030, sustainable food management options, and a waste segregation infrastructure. Again, when we launched the campaign, when we launched the plan on back in September, this idea of food waste, that got quite a lot of press coverage, because we were talking about the ideas, trying to get the education and awareness programs on.
Sì, pronto. Vengo
in
ora.
a lot of
No, dico, se vengo mo, siete pronti?
Would be 2-for-1 offers, so your people have an opportunity to buy a product, a double-sized product, and would buy it at this price of one, this 2-for-1 idea, but would end up throwing it out and it becoming food waste. So that got quite a lot of So what we have to do, and this is part of the problem we have in some of these actions, that we don't want to make it more expensive for people or make things more difficult for people. So it's a line that, as policymakers, that we have to tread. That we can bring in. There's going to be a cost for people on some of these initiatives, but we try to minimise the cost as much as possible. On the last point, plastic packaging and single use. There's a statistic in Ireland that we're not proud of, that we seem to be the biggest users of plastic packaging in the EU. It's not a title that we're particularly proud of, and it's something we will have to address. So we are looking to, obviously we will be adopting the single-use plastic directives and trying to go beyond it. So we will be banning a whole range of products from July of this year, and reducing the number of single-use plastics being placed on the market by 2026. Can we move on, Joseph? On the next slide, just some further points. I've touched on some of these. The extended producer responsibility. Look, we will be looking to expand that. There is currently a sort of an opt-out clause that some companies can use, and we'll be looking to get rid of these opt-out clauses. Construction and demolition waste. We did have a building boom in Ireland in the sort of about 10 years ago, and lasted 4 or 5 years. It slowed down, and obviously with what's happened with the lockdown in the last year, there's been virtually no construction carried on, but that will change. Construction and demolition waste is an area that we see a lot of opportunities to adopt circular economy principles. Previously, a lot of the materials that would have been used would have been thrown out. There's a statistic that goes around that if a builder builds 12 houses, he often throws out or disposes of enough material to build another house, a 13th house. So again, we're trying to engage with the construction sector here in Ireland to change their habits and their practice around construction and demolition. Textiles, and this idea of that we see of fast fashion. This is something that again got a lot of publicity when we launched the campaign, that it was viewed as, are we threatening people who avail of cheaper clothing and cheaper materials? And we were trying to get away. No, that is not the case. That's not what we define. That's not what we mean when we talk of fast fashion. Again, it's this idea of trying to shift the emphasis to the design and get people to use sort of longer textiles that they may get a longer lifespan out of, and so on. So what we're doing, we will be setting up an action group to explore options to improve circularity, and working with designers and retailers to promote eco-design for clothing and textiles. This is a particularly difficult one, obviously, as you can appreciate. That again, it's a change of lifestyle that may be required, and a lot of the test of this will come up when we see, well, how successful are we on these? Just the next slide, Joseph, please. So again, I'll just fly through some of these. The treatment, we're looking at state support for developing of recycling infrastructure, or recycling infrastructure in Ireland for stuff like plastics, paper, cardboard is not great. We're looking to extend that. We are looking to have an expanded role for enforcement. Any scheme that we introduce, be it for plastics or extended producer responsibility, it always has to have an enforcement arm of it. We have to be able to ensure what we would call a level playing pitch for people, be they in the waste industry or in the design, that that people are playing with against the same rules. And then government leadership on circular economy. Again, as you know, all of this for circular economy, waste action, and here in Ireland we're tying it in as much as we can with what we are trying to do around climate action and the broader environmental agenda, be it for air quality. Air quality is tied up with the use of moving away from petrol and diesel cars to electric cars. That produces a waste stream then in the form of batteries. So again, There's stuff coming down from the EU on that. But again, we're looking to tie all of these things in as much as we can. So it's, again, at a high level, all of government circular economy strategy. We are trying to bring in green criteria and principles in public procurement as well. And we're looking to explore how the digital sector can accelerate the transition to a circular economy. But it's part of a broad agenda, circular economy, as we are trying to get the idea out that it's a broad scope, there's a broad canvas here for the climate action plan. I think that's about it. That all I have. I'm happy either to take questions now, or if we want to let the colleagues from Catalonia talk and take a joint session after that.
Well, thank you very much, Paul. Yeah, let's hear Mireia now, and I think I can stop sharing my screen, and then we can have questions.
Hello, good morning. Are you listening to me?
Yeah, with you. Thank you very much.
Okay, I really hope it's gonna work. Otherwise, my colleague Ingrid will follow, because I'm the system bring me out of the system. I don't know. That's why I came in several times. I'm sorry. Anyway, will you share my presentation, Josep, or will you? It's me who will do it.
As you prefer. Thank you. What would you prefer?
Do you have mine?
Yeah. Joseph,
Okay.
would you be able to share the presentation? I'll make it presented then.
Okay.
Yeah,
Welcome.
It's a PDF.
Yeah. Okay, let me see. Josep, tengo una...
If you're able to share.
Okay, let me see share now. Here, share my screen. Okay.
Just a second.
Does it work?
Just a moment, please. Can you try again, please?
Sorry?
May you try again, please?
Okay. Okay. Let me see where you are. Here. Share. Does it work now?
Perfect, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is it this way? It's okay, or shall I? Is it better now?
Perfect.
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. I cannot see you, but it's the same. Okay, so first of all, thank you very much for inviting us. It's a pleasure to be here. And our presentation will have mainly three parts. The first one is why the Catalonia boost circular economy transition. And the answer to these questions, the first main reason is to be able to face global challenge, mainly in relation to resources scarcity, but many other challenges that we have in global terms. The second main reason is to be able to take advantage of the opportunity of circularity, not only regarding the reduction of environmental impact, but also to improve business competitiveness, and also the creation of new green jobs. And the third big reason is to be able to align Catalonia to the most advantage policies promoted by the EU, and for example, with each circular economy action plan, but also at an international level, which is Agenda 2030. And also important institutions like the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, but many others that has been promoting a lot circularity. So Under this context, we believe that a change in the economical model and the traditional production was needed to meet all those challenges and all those opportunities. So, therefore, in this context, Catalonia has promoted different kind of national-wide strategy, not only specific for circular economy, but also we have been working a lot in introducing circularity into industrial policies. And in that sense, I would like to mention especially the National Agreement for Catalan Industry, which we approved in 2017. And one of the 6 main axes of this agreement was focused especially in sustainability and circularity. So to give you just 1 minute about the Catalan strategy on green and circular economy that some of you were interested in, I would like to say that we managed to approve it in 2015, and thanks to that, we are one of the first territories that approve a circular strategy. And I want to take the advantage to mention that among the benchmarking that we have been carried out, but that time we consider Ireland as one of the most inspiring territory. And that's why in the 2013, we invite William Parner, principal office from the government of Ireland. I don't know if he's still working in your government, but he helped us very much when we launched an interministerial working group that was very effective. So we invite him to help us to promote this cross-sectorial work in our government. So if I would have to say what was the most important thing of this strategy, is this cross-sectorial approach, because thanks to this strategy help us to work together with other departments that we were not used to work so collaboratively until that time. Anyway, since this year until now, many things happened. So last year we decided to update the strategy. And so we are elaborating right now the roadmap, a new roadmap for circular economy of Catalonia. And we hope to launch this roadmap before summer. So the 4 phases that we have been carried out in order to develop this roadmap has been, first of all, again, we have been carrying out an international benchmarking. Second, we analyze the state of the art of the circular economy in Catalonia. Third, we have been again working a lot among the different departments of our government, mainly industry, agriculture, and territory and sustainability. And finally, from November until February, we have been carrying out a stakeholder participation plan, and we organize different kind of focus group on the topics that you can see in these slides: construction, chemical, waste, etc. So, the vision of this roadmap is the integration of regenerative economy into the government's strategy policies, to bring circular economy to market realities, and to improve human well-being and social equity while reducing environmental risk. And the strategic goals, as you can see on the slides, are to contribute to climate neutrality, to unlock economic development from resources consumption, to close the circle, and circular awareness. We haven't finished yet the roadmap, but for the moment, some of the key strategic initiatives that we want to bring to this roadmap are relating to education, to green public procurement, to taxation, to strengthen the link between circular economy and water and energy model. Industrial symbiosis is also very important in Catalonia in that moment. And finally, two final topics that I will explain you in a while regarding textile and a hub on circular economy. So the second block of my presentation deals with which are the main challenge that we met while developing those policies. And the main challenge are related mainly with the need to mainstream circular economy in all policies, mainly those related to industry and business support. The second main challenge is the multi-level and multi-stakeholder collaboration, and the third is the need of a wide range of enabling tools to facilitate the transition. So going back to the first challenge, which was to mainstream the circular economy in all industrial policies. To deal with this challenge, we implemented the Toolkit for Policy Making, which is a tool developed by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, who allowed us to analyze which was the circular economy potential in the leading economical sector of Catalonia. So we realized that there was certain economic sector like the agro-food or chemical or logistics or manufacturing that had a lot of potential, and once we analyze those sectors, we have been developing different kind of sectorial guides. So we have a guide for packaging, another for agro-food sector, another for health, another for mobility. So this specifically sectorial approach help us very much to focus the policies right to the needs of the industry. The second challenge was the multi-level and multi-stakeholder collaboration, and that's why we decided to boost an innovation hub, which is called Catalonia Circular, which is a meeting point for companies, organizations that provide solutions, strategies, and tools to implement and consolidate circular economy in Catalonia. We are very glad that 1 week ago we just translate part of this hub in English, so I'm sure you will be able to find some information directly on the website. But just to present it a bit the hub, I would like to say that in this we try to face four function. The first of all is related to information and communication, and for that we gather and promote the exchange of existing initiatives of Catalonia, and we claim for new ones, and we collect and make accessible all the information on circular economy, mainly for business, but also for other kind of institutions. This way, we raise awareness and facilitate trainings on circular economy to different kind of businesses. Another very important function is the strategic planning, and that's why we carried out the roadmap to give answer to this challenge. The third function is related to knowledge generation, and in that sense, we are on the way to publish a barometer that we make through thanks to the interview that we make to 200 SMEs, and also we are on the way to publish the first evaluation report of the hub, which help us to analyze which is the progress of circular economy in Catalonia. And finally, we are working very much in developing different tools to give support to business, either through assessment, either through funding, etc. And the last, I'm sorry, before the last, just to give you a rough idea which are the institutions that are engaged to this hub, you can see that we have all of them are second layer institutions. We don't have a specific business or specific municipalities. We only take second layer institutions, but they are representative from all kind of stakeholders of society. And in the hub, you will have more than 100 circular initiatives of all different kind of typologies of circularity. And also on the right-hand side of the slide, you will see a link of a catalog that will just launch at the end of last year with the most innovative solution of Catalan business regarding circularity. So in both links, you will find specific best practices from Catalonia. And finally, to finish the chapter about challenge, I would like to point out that we found that we really need a wide range of policy to be able to boost circularity. So I'm not gonna explain all the tools we have been developing. I will just choose some examples of them, but I want to mention, for example, regarding information and assessment, I want to point out that since 20 years ago, we are launching every 2 years a Catalonia Eco Design Award, which has been very productive, and we are publishing all the results of this award. You will find plenty of good initiative on eco-design in our website. Regarding subsidies, I want to say also that we have a wide range of subsidies, some of them more focused to research and innovation, some of them we have also vouchers for SMEs. And since 2 years ago, we launched some loans. And regarding the capacity building, we wanted to say that since 2015, we are a member of the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. And thanks to that, we have been participating, not only the government, but also businesses from Catalonia has been participating to different kind of educational trainings launched by this foundation. And regarding international participation, this helped us very much to learn from abroad. And we have been participating to different European projects. And finally, regarding collaboration platform, I want to say that the Catalonia Circular, the hub, is in itself a very powerful instrument of collaboration. And I also wanted to mention that we are working very much, as Paul mentioned, we are working very much in textile, since textile, the management of textile waste, it's a very huge problem in Catalonia right now. And that's why we decided to launch an agreement that has with among stakeholders belonging to all the links of the value chain of the textile. So we are defining some common goals to reach all together, and we are working very much on this agreement. Also, because as it was mentioned by Paul too, we need to anticipate a future implementation of EPR in Spain. So we really need we want to boost this agreement as a pilot project of the future EPR. So I will go to the third and last part of my presentation, which are the opportunity that we expect in the future with all those policies. And we think that the main opportunities are related to, first, the green recovery, which is really needed in such a complex moment that we are living. And also, for us, it's very important the consolidation of a circular sector that will provide for solution for this new market. To meet this green recovery, we need to stimulate our economy by creating sustainable ecosystem for business, to support entrepreneurship and to drive innovation with a view to speed up the transition. So regarding this circular sector, I want to say that we carried out a study 5 years ago that give a picture of the circular sector in Catalonia, and we found out that we have a lot of companies and a lot of employees that are related to circularity, which make it quite strong in Catalonia. And we want to promote this sector because this sector will give us solutions for the rest of the sector. And recently, last year, we studied also the waste sector in Catalonia from an economical point of view, and also we found that it represents almost 3% of the gross value added in Catalonia, which is quite a lot, and it represents a 6% of the jobs at the whole industrial sector. And also, so this means that this is a sector that has been growing a lot during the last 20 years. I'm afraid this slide is in Catalan, but if you can see on the right-hand side, you can see how quick this sector has been growing during the last 20 years. And you can see that the number of companies has increased almost more than 3 times. And the employment has increased more than 7 times. Only the waste sector. So this means that the whole circular sector has increased even more than that. And just to mention some of the key, the future projects that we are working on to meet the opportunities that I have been explaining. In the short time, we are faced with the challenge of smartly investing the European funds from the Next Generation EU. It therefore represents both a great opportunity but also a challenge for jointly defining major country-specific strategic projects to help us to coordinate and deal with this social transformation. And some of the examples of this project is the textile agreement or the roadmap that I already explained. Also, the consolidation of Catalonia Circular as a hub to scale up successful project and favor the development of new public-private partnerships. And also, as it was mentioned before, the enabling technology like blockchain or artificial intelligence can help us very much to boost for circular economy. And also, I would like to mention how important is the changing consumer and user patterns that would favor dematerialization, like servitization, reduce, or repair. And finally, we really need to consolidate Catalonia as a leading country on circular economy, and in order to disseminate successful initiatives and to promote the internalization of the Catalan business, we are organizing the Circular Economy Hotspot of Catalonia that will be held from the 15th to the 18th of November, and we really invite you all. And we believe it could be a great opportunity to know business initiative, governmental strategies and successful partnership that are transforming and making Catalonia's economy more circular. I'm afraid our webpage is not updated, but next Monday we hope it will be already updated with all the news you will find in the hotspot. Here you have all the information, and we will share the PowerPoint so you will have the webpage. And finally, I will like to finish with some big final remarks. First of all, changing the economic model is very complex, but it's necessary, and there are really important risks to delay this transition. Risk from the economical, from the social, and from the environmental point of view. Catalonia government and all the business ecosystem are creating a good base to make it happen. And we need to work close to European institutions and leading countries to reach European goals collaboratively. Okay, thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Paul and wait, I think again your computer is on, so you have to turn your mic. Yeah, because you have the speakers and the microphone, and they echo each other. But no, thank you very much for your presentations and for your availability, because it is of great relevance what you have done in both your governments. So now it will be nice to use this opportunity that we have you both to engage in a conversation on what are the commonalities. Do other people, especially ESRs, can you share questions, or can you put them not in the comments, but also feel free to ask questions, and so we can start a conversation. And I see nothing on the chat yet, so I will start. Actually, both in Ireland and in Catalonia, you had at the beginning green strategies, green economy strategies, and actually the first strategy in Catalonia was the green economy strategy. But now the strategy in Catalonia is called only circular economy. So the concept of green economy has failed. And in Ireland also, you only talk about a circular economy now, but you had a plan for green economy before. So my question is, did the circular economy displace the green economy, or are the two concepts still coexisting somehow?
Yeah. May I start? Is it better now with the microphone? With the earphone, I mean. Okay, thank you. To be honest, the green concept doesn't like very much to businesses, so we thought it was a bit more understandable, a bit to talk about circular economy. Nevertheless, it's very important to point out that in the roadmap, although we only call it circular on the title, we do include green, all the green concept. For example, all the social aspect, as I already mentioned, it's very important in our roadmap. For example, inclusivity and things like that. So we only squeeze on the title. And also, since we realize that Europe, the European Commission, I mean, we normally speak only about circularity. So we decided to align with them too. Please, Ingrid, feel free to compliment if you feel that I miss any important idea.
I think in Ireland we've sort of, you know, very similar to what Mireia is saying. A lot of what happens here is, you know, driven by a program for government. When a government is formed, and as I mentioned earlier on, we have a government that came in last year. Now that has circular economy concepts in it, it has green concepts in it, it has the climate action concepts in it. So I think rather than get, you know, bogged down in any one, you know, is it green, is it circular economy? I think the approach that the government here is adapting is a whole umbrella, if I could use that sort of concept, that you have the circular economy concepts, which, as I was mentioning, feed into what we're trying to do on the climate action side and on the broader environmental side, such as I said, air quality, noise reduction, and stuff. So these are all tied in to this idea of you know, climate action and the components of it. So from the point of view of generating, I think we're probably at the early stages of trying to promote circular economy concepts. You know, we're looking, and again, I'll stray into the climate action side of things. If we're looking at, for example, trying to change the way people heat their homes, for example, here in Ireland, get people away from using fossil-based fuels onto you know, to use cleaner ideas. So we're trying to generate that as an idea to drive consumer behavior, and that, which will in turn create and stimulate an economy for jobs, for equipment, and so on. So I always find it hard to segregate parts of this. You know, is it green? Is it circular economy? Is it climate action? We generally try to take it as a holistic approach on this.
Kevin?
Oh, yes, thank you. I wanted to ask a question also related to Josep's point about what first was called the green economy, now is often tied in with circular economy. And I noticed exactly the same thing with the policy instrument in the Netherlands. They also had an instrument that was pushing cooperation in green areas. And then there was a new government and they strongly pushed the circular economy, and a lot of suddenly it became very trending in all the new agreements they made. But I was very curious by the point that you mentioned that it was also sort of rebranding of the previous green economy plans. Does it also mean that companies that do not properly evaluate the potential of the circular economy, and do you face problems in convincing companies that it's also in their own benefit to adopt more circular economy policies?
Again, as I say, and I know, Mireia, the Catalonia plan is a lot older. We are actually only going to produce what we call our whole of government circular economy strategy later on this month. But for the general public interaction with this, we have found up to quite recently, people did not understand what the term circular economy meant. You know, we had worked. People were very familiar with green concepts, you know, in general, and of course everybody, you know, is aware now of climate change and so on. But the idea of circular economy is only gathering traction quite recently. And one of the things that we're hoping to do while we produce this strategy, we will also be producing a piece of legislation later on this year, and which will be called a circular economy bill. Now that's to give a legislative underpinning for some of these concepts. But to get to your point, yes, the concept or the idea or the nomenclature of green economy is quite a new concept. It is obviously evolving from what we would have referred to as green policies, what we might have referred to was, environmentally friendly, or, climate change, if I could use that one again. But yes, is the broad answer. It's to get people aware of what the concepts are, what the design, and what falls out of that, be it in design, in eco design, designing out waste, but then adopting some of these policies and exploiting the opportunities that are there in a circular economy, stroke, climate action. From my own point of view, I don't really want us to get pigeonholed or to get dragged down one particular track on this. If we can get the idea out there that these are all interrelated, I think that's ideally what we're looking to achieve.
Mireia, do you want to react on that, or? Okay. Tommaso?
Maybe I may just to add some more, not more noise, but for example, now you can realize that many people start speaking about a regenerative economy. So there is a kind of movement that we need to change the name every now and then. And for me, I think as long as everybody knows that the base is the same, I mean, it doesn't matter. But maybe it's a term of the fashion. I don't know why there is that need. Every 2 or 3 years, we have to promote a new concept, and everybody feel like this concept it's more powerful. But for example, sustainability is very old. It has 40 years, and it's even as powerful as regenerative. So sometimes I don't know. Maybe there are hidden reasons that I miss it, but I think sometimes it's not as deep as we believe.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Tommaso?
Hi everyone. Thank you for the presentation. It was really interesting to see how you are transforming the European directives in concrete action. And my question is, as the policy, the European policy is trying to drive individual businesses and consumers action, what is the starting point for the regions? I mean, the regions are probably those space where the consequences of the actions of businesses and the choices of consumers have an effect that can be seen, like the creation of waste, for example. So are there, do you collect data and about all these costs that the current economic system is putting on local communities and regions? And also, do you some sort of calculation of possible benefits deriving from the adoption of those actions?
I can just talk on that briefly, Tommaso. Maybe just using one example, and I've referred to it a number of times, as the Single-Use Plastics Directive, which is due to come in to be transposed in July of this year. And again, just by way of example, this is a directive that has been being discussed for quite some time. You generally find that when directives are being put together at EU level, there's quite a wide-ranging engagement with industry and various stakeholders. So ideally, all the main players should be involved or should be aware from an early date of what is happening, what the implications might be, what the costs might be, and indeed what the benefits may be. The single-use plastics, as I say, is coming in July. It's not ideal, and I don't. It's not. I'm not giving away any secrets by saying that it was done very quickly, and we are now only trying to decide or decipher what the terms of it are going to be and what the impacts are going to be. It will ban a lot of products, but even stuff like, around what the definition of plastics has not been defined. So it's probably not a great example of how you would go about bringing about change for industry and for consumers. But ideally, these ideas should be discussed at a high level, and the onus is on governments to involve all the stakeholders. For example, I mentioned the single-use plastics. There is a very important directive being discussed, or it's a regulation at the moment, on batteries. And I mean, this is going to have a huge impact on the economy over the next few years. Because if you look at trying to for the climate action ideas, trying to get people out of combustion-driven engines into electrical vehicles, which will be powered by batteries. So how do you deal with those batteries? Where do the raw materials come from? How do you reuse them, recycle them? So there's a lot of discussion going on at EU level on that one. So ideally, people would be involved, stakeholders, consumers, from an early date to understand what the implications might be, what the costs might be, and more particularly, what the benefits might be. It doesn't always work perfectly well in practice, but the intention is always there, I think.
I would like to mention that when we apply the toolkit for policymakers from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, it was specifically to be able to quantify economical benefits, because we thought that if we had some important indicators that show us those benefits, businesses will get much more engaged to circular economy. The problem is that we could not fully implement the toolkit for policymakers. But thanks to that, we could quantify. And the truth is that when you give some rough numbers, figures about environmental impact, you cannot get engaged businesses. But when you talk to them about how much money they could save, it's much more easier to get them engaged. Nevertheless, at the same time, it's difficult to quantify those figures. We try when we give, for example, subsidies to SMEs, we ask them to quantify their benefits, but they can hardly do that, because it's very difficult to quantify exactly how much money have you saved because you haven't consumed those tons of material, or it's difficult to quantify. With the exception of waste, I would say that all the waste world, it's quite well quantified. I mean, municipality knows the cost of managing all the selective waste, for example, and things like that. So you have some exceptions. But we have to follow and keep developing new indicators, KPI, that will help us to demonstrate how circularity brings benefit. For example, how many everybody talks a lot about green jobs, but it's very difficult to quantify really what is a green job. I mean, you can say, okay, all the people working on waste collection are green job, maybe, but then how can you identify all people that assess for circular economy into industries? I mean, it's impossible to know the people, how many people are in those areas. So quantification is difficult, but it's important that we all together work in this direction, because it's the way to visibilize the results. We need to demonstrate how important all the benefits of circular economy. It's an important topic. And the Commission has been evolved very much on indicators. I mean, every now and then they publish reports on indicators because they are important.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dimitris?
Hello. Thank you very much for your presentations. So my question is actually partly related to Tomaso's. I'm wondering, you both discussed the importance of driving the right behavioral change of consumers for a successful transition and so on. I was wondering, I guess more in the case of Catalonia, but also in the case of Ireland, if it's applicable, what are the main strategies that you implement with the goal of changing behavior at the consumer level? Also, of the ones you have already implemented, if you have, which ones do you think are the most successful at achieving that goal? And also, how do you determine whether they were or not successful, and to what extent? So how do you measure that behavioral change, basically? Yeah.
I'm not an expert on that, but I could say that the most effective way is education. That's the key point from my point of view. I mean, education at all levels, from kids to university to, I don't know how to call, professional education also, capacitation of working people. I mean, education at all fronts. It's the only way to change the behavior and to change society. Monitorization and indicators, it's also important because it's the way to justify the progress. I mean, that's why you need indicators that evaluate how is the real evaluation of circularity in one territory. And then, of course, you have to use awareness campaigns now and then. They can be quite useful. For example, for selective collection, you need awareness campaigns on TV and things like that. But I think those are more superficial than education. But of course, education is in the long term. It's not in a short term. I think that's the most important area. Yes, Ingrid, please.
Sorry, I'm Ingrid Vives. I'm working with Mireia. I also want to point out that from the European Commission, this coming years is giving a lot of emphasis to the consumer. So I think, and this Paul mentioned in his presentation, that reuse, remanufacture were things that we are going to focus the governments in this way. So I think it would be also a way to change this citizen behavior, this consumer behavior. About the education that Mireia was saying, there are, I think, in all European countries, a lot of networks of green schools, sustainable schools. So this is quite establish the structure. It needs to fit with content. But I think we really need to be aware that these coming years, the consumer legislation is going to change, and there is room for the governments to work on this, to launch instruments to favor this change. Going a little bit back to this previous thinking that we were talking, I think we went through that. First, we went for efficiency. No, we make all the companies efficient. Now we go for circularity. No, to make more loop, to use more the things. And I think now it's gonna be a next step, I think, to get more the consumer involved and to be more conscious of these limits of the planet, the planetary boundaries. So to think that maybe we don't need to consume as much as we used to consume in this and going for this dematerialization way or servitization way that Mireia was talking, or even further, who knows this. So I wanted to bring all these issues on rise on this debate. Thank you.
And a last idea, if I made, it's regarding ecolabels. I think all the ecolabels, it's old policy promoted by the EU, but I think it's still very important to engage citizenship, because it's the way they can know and about how it is built, how it is produced, a certain product, and then you can give them the information that they need to choose about one product or another. So we have to promote even more, for example, at aliment for food. I think there is a long room to improve ecolabels in food or in clothes too, for example.
If I just come in just briefly on that, I fully agree with Mireia and Ingrid that you cannot underestimate the benefits of education and awareness. And obviously the education thing has been going on for quite some time. And I suppose part of the benefit that you can see in this now, that the younger generation is really driving a lot of this, and demanding change and behavioral change. So there has been some success on the education and awareness, and that will continue. One or two other strategies that we have considered over the years for bringing about behavioral change is possibly using the taxation system. We have brought in some schemes. For example, in Ireland, we brought in a levy a number of years ago on light plastic bags, because bags that you would get in supermarkets and so on, and these were they were creating terrible litter problems. So we put a small charge on those, not as a tax as such, but to try and bring about some behavioral change and get people onto using longer life, with reusable shopping bags, and that has worked to a large extent. I did mention the deposit and return scheme that we're in the course of introducing here in Ireland. We did have a public consultation on that just at the end of last year, and we got quite a lot of responses to that, almost all of which were positive. So even though this will result in an increase in the price of a beverage, of a drink, people see that, well, I get the money back and the container that I'll use will be recycled. So we have had some success in that. So yeah, education and awareness obviously are paramount, but there are ways of using the possibly taxation system. I did mention we were looking at what's called over here a latte levy, that may be introducing a levy on certain, if in coffee shops, if people are going to be using disposable or reuse or so-called compostable cups, that'd be an additional charge on that. Whereas if you go in with a reusable cup, it's 15 cents cheaper and stuff like that. So, but again, these things, the key in such fiscal instruments, let's say, is to show that it's not for tax collection purposes; it's for the purpose of introducing behavioural change.
I completely agree. The pity is that Catalonia doesn't have many room for taxation adaptation. It belongs to the national government, but we really hope to be able to have those kind of instruments in our government.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Azar?
Yeah. Hi, thank you very much for your presentation. It was very interesting. And Paul, I think you have mentioned something related to digital in promoting circular economy that is so pivotal. And I was wondering if you have any suggestions. I mean, how can we incorporate this digital infrastructure to accelerate CE policy in designing our network models? And I also have another question from Mireia, that you said one of the challenges is that integrating sustainability in procurement. So I was wondering how you can ask suppliers to embed these circular economy strategies in their activities. I mean, apart from taxation, how we can just give them some incentives. And in terms of knowledge generation, I saw that you have identified some metrics by interviewing, I think, 200 people. I was wondering if you can share those metrics with us. Thank you.
Just talk briefly on the digital. The one aspect that springs to mind in relation to what I call exploitation of digital, again, goes back to the deposit return scheme that we are talking about. We are looking at the standard deposit return scheme would use what's called reverse vending machines, so that in a supermarket or a retail outlet, people could, insert the bottle or the can back into it and get the deposit back. One initiative we're looking at, digitally inspired, is around what's called a smart DRS scheme that would use that people would have. You could download an app onto your mobile phone, and you could scan the barcode on the bottle into your app, and rather than have to go to the machine, you could put it into your ordinary recyclable waste bin. Now, it's at the very early stages of it. It's the one thing that comes to mind off the top of my head of how we're trying to use digital. Now, I take it, I accept that this is more waste driven as opposed to pure circular economy initiative, but it's the only one I can think of, I'm afraid, just off the top of my head on using digital. I don't, Mireia, do you have anything on that?
It's a very interesting topic. We know that there are different areas analyzing the opportunities on how all those digitalization will help us on circularity. I know that the Ellen MacArthur Foundation published a report on that, I think 3 years ago, something like that. So you might have some examples. And I know that the area of waste management is one of the areas where they are analyzing different kind of topics. I'm not an expert at all, but I heard that both artificial intelligence or blockchain and all those kind of applications will be very helpful. So I know that it would be one of the biggest topics in the future. Maybe the report on the Ellen MacArthur Foundation will help you. And if I may follow with the rest of the questions, I wanted to say that the results about the barometer are not published, but they are on the way. So if you are interested, you can. I think my email was on the presentation, so you can write me, or Josep can bring me your email, and I will send it to you. For the moment, it's in Catalan. But if you can understand a bit of Spanish, or you can understand a bit of the report. But yes, it's a report that we just finished this week, and we hope to present it, to launch it next month. And it will have the results about all the interviews that we have been carrying out. For the first time, is the first time that Catalonia interview SMEs, asking them about the circular economy. So we are quite happy about these barometers. Let's hope we will be able to follow during the following years. And regarding the public tenders and green public procurement, I would like to say that I'm not an expert neither. If you are also very specifically interested, we can put you in contact with the expert in public tenders. But I can say that there is quite room of introducing measures in public tenders, both at a regional level and also at a municipal level, in order to promote certain circularity aspects or certain products. So it's an area that has been evolved a lot during the last years. Of course, it's not easy, because you know that there are those competition, I don't know how to say in English, you have to give room to all kind of companies. You cannot say, okay, you cannot participate to the public tenders, because everybody can participate. I don't know how to explain, but you can introduce, for example, some articles where you give more points to those companies that accomplish certain criteria on circularity and sustainability. I don't know, Ingrid, if you can help me a bit about...
I think Mireia was talking about the competitive rules, that they are even in the European level, that you cannot restrict the applying of different companies. And also an important thing about public procurement is a lot of the guidance developed. As a regional government, there have been different guides developed to help local authorities to implement green public procurement in different products, textile, cars, mobility, I think in codes from health, from hospitals. So as a regional government, we also favor this public procurement by elaborating guides for different sectors.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Amos cannot read the question, so I will read it for him. What do you think on the idea of setting up action plans and targets for 2030 or 2050, when the majority of policymakers that are involved in it will no longer be there to be accountable?
That's an interesting question. Yeah, again, you know, I mean, I think as public servants, what we're doing, and I'm sure Mireia and Ingrid would say the same, you know, we are just holders of an office, and we try to leave and hand over the public policy arena in a better condition than when we got it. And hopefully that our successors will continue that, you know. I mean, clearly, I'm not quite sure. I mean, there are rules and targets that we will all have to meet, which are set at EU level. But I think, you know, again, people and civil servants and public servants are very invested in this. You know, it's a societal, all of this thing is a chance to, you know, as I say, hand over the world in a better condition the next generation. And so, you know, I think we all are aware of the level of responsibility that we have and how important this is. Climate change and all that goes with it, and I include the circular economy in that, is probably the single biggest political and social and environmental issue that we're going to face over the next few years. You know, I just say, can they be sued for failing to deliver on the next generation? I'm sure we can. All of the targets that are set, and again at EU level, there's always fines and penalties that governments can incur. There's a question here of national reputation, that no government you know, wants to be seen as not doing their very, very best in this space. So there's a reputational issue there, and there's an ownership issue there. And again, we are all driven by the democratic process. So I think with the level of awareness and knowledge, particularly among a young electorate, and if they don't see that a government is delivering on the plans and targets that they set out and what they want to see achieved, governments will very quickly, you know, become former governments, or, you know, lose out. So there's a lot of, you know, we do live in a democratic process. There's a lot of formal and informal targets, and there's human nature as well. As I say, we all want to do the best job we can. I'm not sure if that answered his question.
Mireia, do you have any saying on this, or?
No, I think that both targets are needed. You need long term to be able to show your way in the, I mean, globally, but also you need to set some goals in a short term. So both are needed, definitely. And you have to set all the time to monitor that your every day help you to find, to reach your final goal. I mean, mid-terms goal help you not to, yes, to also to reach, I don't know how to, it's okay. It's difficult for me to explain in English, sorry. You need both, I think. And monitoring systems are needed and are very useful for both. If you don't have long term, I mean, politicians also will lose very easily, which are the how ambitions should be in the short term. I don't know if I explained myself.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I have the final question for Dimitris.
Yeah, hello again. Yeah, so I just wanted to comment on something that Mireia was talking about at the end of her presentation. One of the main strategies was to scale up successful initiatives. So I guess that involves studying them and seeing where they succeeded and so on. I think it would also be interesting to study unsuccessful cases in order to learn from what has gone wrong with them, but also to determine maybe from the successful cases how much of the success might have been just randomness rather than a specific action that they might have decided to take upon. So maybe if you want to comment on that. Yeah. Thanks.
I completely agree. Sometimes you learn more from unsuccessful policies or initiatives than successful one. I think you have to use, of course, both, and we do use both, of course. And also, I take the advantage to comment that to scale up, it's extraordinarily difficult, and it's the point where we are right now. I think we, as a territory, has very successful initiatives, one of the most one, but now the real challenge is to change all the system, and we are not at that point. And to move from pilot to the whole system, it's really difficult. And maybe some countries, maybe I don't know Ireland, I don't know too deeply Ireland, but maybe Denmark or areas like that, that we are at least we believe it's our ideal as a sustainability country. Maybe they already managed to change the systems from the basis. But so this point of to scale up, to be honest, I don't know how to deal with. So,
okay, so thank you very much, everybody. We are 10 minutes, a little bit over time, but so if there's any final question, or if you both, Paul and Mireia, you want to give a concluding remark before closing the webinar.
I just want to say, listen, thank you for a very stimulating, just under 2 hours. It's great to get engaged in a group like this, and people coming at it from another angle. Part of the problem in getting involved in this policy work is you get so wrapped up in it at times that you really need to see another angle or another approach on it. I was particularly interested in meeting Ingrid and Mireia, albeit online. A lot of interesting stuff, and like to follow that up. But again, thank you for your interest in the topic. As I say, it's great. If we're working away, as it turns out now, in our bedrooms and kitchens, to see that there's lots of other people who have an interest in these topics. And I think you have my email. If there's any questions or any issues I can help you with, I'm more than happy to do it. But again, thanks, and thanks, Joseph, for organising.
I would like to thank you all, and it was very inspiring that we have so many young people. I really like. Normally, there are not so many young people involved in those discussions. So thank you very much for your interest, and we are also in touch, and we are available for any questions you can have. And we will follow again your initiatives in Ireland. Thank you very much, Paul, for your explanation. And thank you, Josep, for contacting us and for inviting.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. The pleasure of us. And again, thank you in behalf of the training network, in behalf of Retrace, for your availability, for your time, but also for the interesting insights that you have brought to us. That will surely be helpful for our research and to gain further knowledge on this transition and how diverse it is. It's not just what we see from academia, but it's so beneficial from us to get to see and to get to hear you. So thank you again very much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, and good luck.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Take care. Bye.